My friends, we are back for another episode of the Courageous Pivot podcast. I'm your host, Megan Telpner, and we have another amazingly special guest on the show today. You will meet my friend Renata Taravski, who is a naturopathic doctor and astrologer. We first connected about 5 years ago, and she has delivered endless insight and entertainment in that time. Our conversation today went way out in the ethers to the cosmos, to the stars, and also hit super close to home in the heart. Here is her official bio, which is not so official at all, which is part of what I love about her. Renata Taravski is the once ride or die naturopathic doctor turned favorite sassy astrologer for spiritual entrepreneurs, renegades, and healers who escape the matrix to live by their own rules. She dishes out fluff-free astrology that's less, quote, fake love and light, and more. Here's your cheat sheet code to building a life and legacy that actually feels like you. If you're craving real talk, practical guidance that actually moves the needle, and just the right amount of woo-woo, she is your woman. And that is exactly what she delivered in our conversation. Enjoy. Renata, welcome to the Courageous Pivot podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Me too. Finally. We were supposed to have it you were like one of the first to book.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be in the summer. My internet had gone down here. And then it was one of those moments like, ugh, the universe, fine. And the timing does feel more aligned now. So it always works out.
It does.
We are going to sort of go back to the beginning. You're just such a fascinating and hilarious person. I've been very excited for this. Let's just go like way back.
Yeah.
When you were a child, did you know you were a witch? Just kidding. We could instead, yes. And also, what first drew you into naturopathic medicine?
Okay, that's a loaded question. It was my own health journey. You know what I mean? I was struggling with like name everything, anxiety, depression. At that time, it was just everyone has IBS.
What, like how old were you? 20?
I was 19, 20. I can't remember the exact. It was university. Yeah. And I was also like battling a really, severe eating disorder. And when I sought like the conventional model for care, because I was like, hey, this, I just didn't like come here. I was like always a happy, outgoing kid. And then all of a sudden, like the pressures of the world hit me. God knows what was going on in my astrological chart at the time. And I just like fell apart, like mentally, physically, everything. And I remember feeling like, how did I get here? Mm-hmm. So I was a smart cookie too. And I was like, I want to fix this. Like, I want to get back to the Renata that I know I am, because when you're like a shell of a human being and you have this social anxiety, depression, and you feel so uncomfortable in your body, you know something's wrong with you, but you don't know how to get better. And they're just kind of like, okay, well, you can talk to somebody, or you can basically take this SSRI for your mood. And I'm like, well, I'm not a drug deficiency. Like, and this is back in the day. So this is around 20 years ago. This wasn't when like naturopathic alternative medicine was even talked about. It wasn't mainstream, but in my heart, I was like, no, I'll go talk to somebody. And then when I talked to like the university counselor, I've never felt so much shamed in my life. They're just like, so what do you mean like you don't find like joy in ice cream anymore? Because I was trying to say like I used to like look forward to these things in my life, and now I just want to like hide in my room and cry, and I'm angry at the world. And I walked out, basically said like, you should not have this job. So I remember just being like, okay, well, that does not feel safe. I just felt this isn't how healing's supposed to feel. And I didn't have any other reference point, but I knew that wasn't it. So I kind of had to take my health in my own hands. And I was researching like, I was reading like mindset, mental health books back then. And then I stumbled upon naturopathic medicine. It was a job. It was like a booth fair at the university for like where you wanted, basically what you want to be when you're older. And at that point, I was really set on becoming a teacher, because I originally wanted to be a psychiatrist. But when I went through basically my own little stint with the conventional model, I was like, I can't just prescribe a medication. I'm not against it. There's a time and place, but I'm like, there's so many more layers to this. And this is what I'm going to be doing. So I decided I'll be a teacher. And then when I found the naturopathic medicine booth and I was just like reading the pamphlet, it was like this remembrance. And I remember being like, this makes so much sense. Like, how come I've never seen a naturopath before? And I'm telling you, Megan, I was very analytically based back then. I made my decisions, I always say, from the pros and cons list. And all the pros, there was so many, like, there was not a lot of pros. There were so many cons, like, this is going to be X amount of dollars. Like, you're going to have to fund this for yourself. How are you going to build a career out of this? Everyone thinks, like, why don't you just be a real doctor? Like, it wasn't working in my favor, but this was the first time in my life that my soul was like, you need to go here. And I just did. So
I didn't know all of that because it's not something we really tell, but my story is virtually identical. When I was 18, I was prescribed SSRIs.
Mm-hmm.
I was just finishing high school and I was like, I'm not sleeping all the time because I'm depressed. I'm sleeping all the time because I'm tired. And that's making me depressed that I don't want to do anything. And my path was I cut out gluten and I like came back to life. Like it was that simple, but it was also not that simple because it was 1998. And where do you learn about this? Like it was so extreme.
Yeah. And then, I went into, oh, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was just gonna, and it was a similar thing that I thought too about this medication. I'm like, this medication is not, this isn't the solution. This is going to take me on a completely misaligned path for me.
Yeah.
Like I can't speak to anyone else. For me, I knew it wasn't the right path. And you had that same knowing.
It was a knowing. I can't tell you where I had that knowing. It was just this knowing where my whole body was like, no, that's not the answer.
Yeah. How did you have your parents' support? Was there?
It's kind of, I was in university, so I was dealing with this on my own. I had a lot of shame around it. There was a lot of denial. So everyone knew something was wrong with Renata, but I was like, I'm fine. And it's, well, you're kind of like 2 pounds soaking wet. So it was something that I struggled, or I managed in private. And then I kind of found my way, and I opened up to some people, but it was something I had a lot of shame around. So it wasn't something I talked about like openly, and I just denied it. Cause I was like, this is not your problem. This is my problem.
How old were you when you landed in naturopathic college, and what were those first few weeks like sitting in those classrooms?
I think I was like 24, 23, 24.
That's pretty young to enter the holistic path.
It
like
is
most aren't there yet.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm a baby still.
Yeah.
And I remember there was this one professor, he's no longer with us, Dr. Godfrey, and he was like a wizard. He was talking, I remember this, it was like, I can't remember what the course was called. Let's just call it, I'm making up the name here. It's like the magic of naturopathic medicine. And he was like Dumbledore to me. And he was talking about consciousness. And I was like, what is consciousness? But I know I'm in the right spot. Like, I just remember this body feeling, and everyone's like, this is so boring. And I was like, no, like, I'm in Hogwarts. And then I started researching, like, what's consciousness? Like, what's meditation? And then I really thought I was going to be that, sports medicine focused naturopath. But once I went in there and I fell in love with TCM and the principles of homeopathy, and don't get me wrong, I loved all the different principles, like nutrition. Like I was like, oh yeah, if I don't have enough vitamin D, I'm going to feel like trash. And like, you know what I mean? Like you can't just like drink one tea, and if your liver is like congested, you think it's going to solve the problem. So it opened my eyes up, and I was like, why doesn't everyone know this? I felt like I was in a secret society.
Yeah.
I knew I was in the right place at that time in my life.
Yeah. What did that feel like in your body? Because you'd gone through an eating disorder. You were diagnosed as depressed. So you were now at the quarter life, which when a lot of people, I had a quarter life crisis because I was not on the path. What did that feel like in your body, and how did your physical and emotional health transform at that point?
Well, it gave me so much hope because I started to see things from a more holistic lens, where I was like, oh, well, that traumatic event that contributed to this was a tipping point. And oh, I'm not having enough nutrients. This is why I'm, thinking this way, or I have these darker thoughts because I'm undernourished. Right. And then it's also like, oh, I don't know how to express my emotions. I don't think I've cried in 7 years. And then in TCM, we learned this condition called like liver chi stagnation. Basically, your energy stagnated. And if it's stagnated, it can't move. And I was like textbook, frustrated, irritated all the time. And I was like, no one said to like work on the liver.
Right.
So I felt really hopeful because I got introduced to all these beautiful tools, because look, it doesn't matter what you're going through. You're losing your hair. You feel it. You're tired. You're depressed. You can't lose the weight. It's not one pill solution. I believe that all these different tools, you're going to figure out your own combination. That's kind of the annoying part, is sometimes it's a lot of trial and error. But I was like, wow, I'm really getting this very like unique, personalized combination that's going to restore me back to me. But it's also requiring my participation in it.
How did I think we're about the same age. So this is probably around like 2004, 2005, 2006 you're going through this?
I graduated high school in 2004. So I graduated university 2008. It was
Oh, okay.
2009 I was in
Okay.
CCNM. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
2009.
I'm way older than you, just kidding. What was the transition like socially at that point when you started, let's call it, went woo-woo because you're studying consciousness and the energy of your liver?
Yeah.
How did your relationships withstand this?
So I remember I was in fourth year, most of my friends were open and they were into the woo woo too. And I met those people, but it was
Okay.
people that maybe I grew up with. Most of them I was no longer friends for. There was a small handful that was like, this is just like weird Renata and we love her. And I always was this like witchy woo woo into like all that type of stuff, magical fantasy. So my closest friends were like, we're not surprised. But in CCNM, I remember being in our fourth year internship and we're discussing cases. And I was talking about, I'm like, well, that's their X chakra. So you should ask them this and this. And then some colleagues started coming up to me and be like, so I have this case and like, it's not budging with the nutrition. I'm like, well, did you even explore the emotion of like where that emotional thing started? And I was the girl talking about the nervous system back in 2012. And now everyone's like, the nervous system. And I was like, I was literally saying, how can we heal? Because that's why I was so big into acupuncture. How can we actually heal if our body's chronically in flight and fight? And everyone just looked at me like, and my profs, oh, we need to address this niacin deficiency. I'm like, maybe they're like in survival. Niacin's going to do shit. Like, get out of my face. So I felt like, oh yeah, that prof and I did not get along anymore. Cause I was like, I'm so sick of just doing this textbook to like, fulfill your ego, because he was so obsessed with a certain way of doing things. And I was like, we need to talk about their grief. Their grief is why they have full skin, like full head to toe body skin rash. So like, I was very the person people would come to and consult with when they're like, things aren't budging on the physical realm. Oh, shocker. Cause you didn't deal with their energetics or emotions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like respected, but at the same time, I don't know, kind of in my own world. I didn't really care. I was very like, I don't care what you think of me. This is my thoughts. And I feel like I was more confident back then than I am now, but
Why do you think that is?
I feel honestly with the social pressures and social medias and you can't say this and you say this. And like after the trauma of 2020, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to realizing like that was insane and I don't care. I'm going to still say what I want to say. But I just realized there's this fine line of trying to be professional, but then also like I'm abandoning my truth here and I'm not being harsh here. I'm actually doing the right thing. And maybe the truth is not the easiest thing to hear, but like this is, you know what I mean?
I do. I looked back because I recently sort of did a cleanup of old blog posts and, you see the social media memories. And I was like, man, I was bold. Like, I had a video rant on the propaganda around the H1N1 vaccine,
Yeah.
which was fine until it got flagged in April 2020. It'd been there for 12 years or even more than that. But I was like, I was bold. And I don't know if it's just youth or if people were just like, oh, there's Megan, and it wasn't a big thing. Like, it was just like, oh, there she goes again on her thing.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I've gotten to a point too where I'm like, it's self-selection. If people can't figure this out, not my problem.
Yeah, I pick and choose now where I want to rant, where before I feel like I was a bit more on it.
Yeah, everything was worthy of a rant in the 30-year-old me. But so at what point did the astrology come
Yeah.
in, and how did that mix with, because naturopathic is really like the bridge between holistic and allopathic.
Mm-hmm.
Astrology is, out there.
It's really out there.
Out there. Up there. I should say it's up there.
It's up there. Yeah. Yeah. I did not see coming. And I thought, I'm in naturopathic school. I'm going to be a naturopath. I started my career and I thought, yeah, I made it. This is it. This is my path. It felt aligned. And I would say it was less than 2 years of practicing full time. I was working at, a particular gym in their wellness center. And on paper, it looks like I was killing it. Like I remember I won the award for top sales or something in like that region, and I was hustling. I had no idea what I was doing. We didn't learn business stuff in school, and I was like, whatever, throw me in the lion's den, I'll survive. My schedule was packed, and I remember sitting in my grungy office with like probably Rihanna blaring because the workout room was right beside it, no window. And I remember being like, this can't be my life. Like, this can't be it. Like, I respect, like, this is where I want to start there. And I was so grateful for the opportunity and growth. But I remember looking at my schedule, and here's the funny thing. It was full. You couldn't even see me. You're on a wait list. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So I've made it in adulthood accordingly, but I've gained 10 pounds. I have this rash on my face, and I'm now having panic attacks. So something isn't adding up here. And I pushed it aside because when I was telling people like, this is how I'm feeling, and they're like, that just, you can't be grateful. Like, you got to be grateful. You're starting out, you're making money. I'm like, oh, this is maybe what it's like to be an adult. Mm-hmm. But then 6 months later, I just finally reached my breaking point and I quit. And I remember like, I had no plan, but I was like, I know this isn't it. But there was this figgle of like a little vision was like, oh, I want to be on YouTube. At the time, YouTube was big. I want to be able to reach people around the world. And when I kept seeing patients, and even it was a mirror of myself, was I'm out of alignment right now. My body and my health is breaking down. My anxiety is screaming at me, being like, this isn't the right fit for you. It taught you what you needed, but now we got to move on. And when I kept seeing patients that are like depressed and they're hating their bodies are breaking down, I'm like, well, your relationship sucks. You hate your job. I'm sorry. I can't supplement you out of your shitty job. Like, I cannot acupuncture you out of your relationship that you probably have to get a divorce for. Like, that's not going to solve the problem. And I realized the biggest theme was everyone was out of alignment, including myself. So I quit. I had no plan. Everyone thought I was crazy again. But then at the same time, they're like, there goes Renata just doing her thing. But in my soul was like, don't worry. It felt like that similar feeling I had when I said, you got to go to naturopathic medicine. It was that same screaming. My soul was like screaming at me. And I was like, okay. So then I just jumped in all these personal development courses. I quit Good Life. I went very part-time still at the clinic that I'm practicing today, because I still felt like I really belonged there. Good Life, I also didn't feel like I vibed there anymore. It was like not my thing. I grew out of it quite quickly. And then personal development, coach, this course, yoga teacher training. Oh, found some tarot cards. Ooh, like tarot, played around with that. Started offering coaching sessions with people, helping them get back into alignment with their life. And then one day I worked very briefly at a clinic part-time for my friend in Toronto, in naturopathic clinic. And one of my patients was an astrologer. And I already had my chart read 1,000,000 times, but can I read your chart? And I was like, yeah, sure.
When your patient said this to you?
One of my patients. So after her visit, she briefly pulled up my chart. It was like 2018. And I got that feeling again. I was like, oh, got that. Oh no. Now we got to now we're doing astrology. What is going on? And it was this like, I know that feeling. And whatever she did in that reading activated something. And I went home, and for a year, I'm not even exaggerating, I would probably watch astrology videos, read about it, practice charts, minimum 3 to 4 hours a day. It's not even a joke. Some days was less, some days was more, for like a year straight. Start incorporating with my coaching, and then like, look here, it morphed into where I am today.
I have a quick little intermission for this episode, or is it an intermission? I want to invite you to please head over to courageouspivot.com and subscribe there. There is a lot brewing around the Courageous Pivot, and I'm working on opening up a little inner circle community. And the plan as of today is to start offering little workshops that only the inner circle will be invited to participate in, as well as the opportunity perhaps for live in-person events. Could it be? Could it be? It might just be. I'm also going to be sharing a little more about my own personal pivots, as well as some updates from our guests that have been on the show. So you may have heard the announcement to follow me on Substack. Well, we're changing course now. We are pivoting, and the action is over at courageouspivot.com. So go over there, get on the list. You'll get each episode dropped to your inbox, as well as exclusive first dibs access to everything that will be created in and around the idea of Courageous Pivot, doing that work, the developing framework, and of course, the beautiful community. I cannot wait to see you over there. Now, back to the episode.
I want to talk about that feeling you describe, because that is the thing that every single person I've spoken to so far for this project, this podcast, has talked about that feeling. And some describe it as, like almost like goosebumps on the back of your neck, or like having a knowledge or an idea come into your mind. You're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Everyone describes it almost the exact same way of, really? Like, really? That's what it is? And I personally had it too. I had it when I had the moment of going to study nutrition, like an absolute knowing made no sense.
Yep.
And I had it again when it was time to leave my bit. Well, I kind of knew, and we can get into how you were annoyingly pointed about this 4 years ago. But, and also when I knew what I was going to do next, like it's that knowing and also it making no logical sense.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I was still kind of, for that, it made no sense. Astrology came out of left field for me. I always say, usually astrology finds us. It's not like we go searching for astrology. Like, I feel like it's a call. I call it the celestial call. That's what it felt like to me. I can't recall specifically, but I know my knowings feel either like these chills, like these full body chills. And it usually is like very concentrated against like over my heart chakra, like my chest area. Or it's this like download, it feels like, where it's like, must go here now. And it's like this full body knowing that just came out of nowhere. And you're like, oh, fine. Okay. I'm not going to resist you because you've always been right.
Mm-hmm. So was it overnight that you were like, okay, well, now I'm going to offer like naturopathic consultations and astrological chart readings?
No, it wasn't overnight. It was, let me start learning this.
Mm-hmm.
So I started learning this and started realizing like astrology wasn't just the sun sign. It's like you have your whole chart, and your whole chart has different moving pieces and different planets, which are different characters and different expressions of your consciousness. They have different lessons, different layers of your personality, different challenges, points in the chart where like why you have repeating challenges. And when I went back through the years where I had those pivotal moments, the naturopathic, the quitting my transitioning basically from the full-time naturopathic career to this astrology spiritual career, to deciding to go to naturopathic medicine, those were pivotal chart points in my life. So I was like, whoa, I have cross-referenced this with turning points in my life. You can't make this up. We have the roadmap for our existence. Why aren't we using this? So it was fascinating to me.
What has been your experience, or have you ever seen in your chart or anyone else's chart where there were those pivotal moments and the road wasn't taken, like where it was resisted?
Oh yeah.
It's like the person who's in the relationship for 10 years knows it's the absolute wrong one and will not take action, or waits until there's like absolute crisis, but they know the entire time.
Oh yeah. And like I always say, like the patterns, the planetary, they rotate. So they're always going to be, if you miss the lesson the first time, you're going to get it 1,000 other times. So that's why people get multiple opportunities, but people freak out with astrology. Oh my God, I had this pivotal moment. Did I miss it? Now I'm not going to have the opportunity. My career is not going to blow up. I'm like, that's the most ridiculous way to use astrology. And if that's how you're using astrology, that's the most disempowering point of view to use it. It's, you get to co-create with your chart. Okay. But I do see people where I'm like, okay, this is coming through right now. And if you avoid this, it's not going to be bunnies and rainbows. It's going to bring up a lot of hard things, because it's not trying to ruin your life. It's literally forcing you to deal with something that you're not dealing with. So people come to me in crisis being like, why is this happening? And I'm like, well, I can tell you right here why this is happening.
Mm-hmm. How do you support people then when you're like, okay, this is why it's happening?
Mm-hmm.
What guidance or support do you offer when people are like, but I can't quit my job. I have a mortgage. I can't leave my husband. We have children. I can't. And they're all valid.
Totally.
What guidance do you offer?
I'm pretty honest. Like I say, like I'm empathetic. So I feel like people say to me, I'm like that tough love person where they feel safe but called out simultaneously. And they're like, right. So I'll say, look, I understand the situation. So I'm not saying just change this overnight, drop everything, like whatever, but also don't be surprised if this thing that's thorn in your side doesn't go away until you do make a hard decision. And that might take years. It might take time. You might have to be in really like not ideal transitional points. Like maybe you have to move back in your parents temporarily to get your feet on the ground. Like I know it's not sexy, but basically we keep stalling our highest potential. Like we've all went through the unsexy phases of transition, you know? So I'm just honest with them, but I say it's your life. You could do whatever you want. And I'm not firm like you must divorce. I never say affirmative things like that because I find it kind of dangerous when people are like, this astrologer said on this date this was going to happen. I'm like, okay, well, no. I more am helping them understand why they're feeling how they're feeling, and ideally what the highest lesson is.
Right.
And what they're encouraged to do, whether they do it or not.
I like how you said that it's stalling your, what did you say? Stalling your infinite potential, your full
Highest potential.
Your highest potential, stalling your highest potential.
Yeah.
I believe that we are in an absolute devastating crisis of people stalling their fullest potential right now. And I think that's why the world is the way it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a blanket of paralysis, stagnation, and fear.
Yeah.
And everyone's sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that's just great.
So that's why I love astrology. So people realize like we all have a blueprint. And it's not so much like on this day, you're going to wear this yellow sweater and you're going to bump into the love of your life at the coffee shop. It's no, I'm not going to predict that, but it's more the experiences. And like, we all have our own highest potential that we have to lean into that looks very different. It's not to replicate or copy anybody else's. And I still don't know how my life's going to unfold, even though I'm going through certain transits, but I could be like, oh gosh, I'm going to go through my midlife awakening transits. I have no idea what's in store for me, but at least I know if I feel like I'm dying every day for about a year, I know why that is, because I'm shedding all these old identities and like a new one is being rebirthed and I have no idea what she looks like yet.
Tell me about this midlife transit.
So
it's the theme.
Yeah, in astrology, around the ages, depends. It's like everyone's chart starts a little different. Like usually around the ages of like 38, it can start later till 43, let's say. There's these three main midlife, pardon?
I said, God darn it, I was right on schedule.
Yeah, there's these three main, I call them our midlife awakening transits. So it's when Pluto, the planet of power and transformation, makes this connection to our natal Pluto, so where it is in your chart. So that feels like death, feels like we're dying, and like it's like facing all of our fears or where we have stagnation in our life that's preventing us from feeling alive. So it could be very like a lot of shadow work. It can feel a bit more heavy, but it's literally for us to look at the things that we keep hidden in the closet or swept under the rug that basically drain our soul. So it's like we're facing our biggest fears. That's not, and again, everyone's, oh my God, that's terrifying. I'm like, it's actually not. It's probably the most liberating thing because it's your resistance towards the fear. You know how much energy that you have to put towards that all the time, where this transit comes in, it's like, okay, enough of this. I gave you a chance to deal with this up into this 40 years-ish. You haven't yet. There's still some stuff in your space. It's preventing your highest potential. So we're going to deal with it now. I look at these little checkpoints to ensure, hey, we're going to try to throw you a bone here. Then there's then it's another one is Uranus making a connection to our natal Uranus as well. So that's like it's like a liberating transit.
We changed the pronunciation of that planet.
I did. Yeah. Uranus. People say, what do they say? Uranus?
Uranus.
Uranus. I call it Uranus.
That's not how my 8-year-old son calls it.
Yeah. Everyone joked right away. I'm like, this is how I pronounce it. Get over it. Okay. And then, so Uranus comes in and the transiting Uranus connects with your natal Uranus around, again, that 30, it comes a little after the Pluto transit. And it usually comes out, it's the final middle life awakening transit usually. And it kind of liberates us and say, okay, this is new version of you, go live it. But in the smack middle or around the same time as that Pluto, like where you feel like you're dying, Neptune comes in and there's the Neptune transit. And what's moving in the sky, Neptune, makes a connection to your natal Neptune. And that's all confusion. It brings confusion. You feel lost. You're just like, I don't know what this life is anymore. It's like spiritual awakening. So these are hard-hitting transits that all happen around that 38 to 43 years old. So it starts first with us dying. Then we're all confused because we're like, I don't know what's going on anymore. And then we're liberated.
Wow. How does that feel for someone who is like on, in the matrix on the hamster wheel? Is that just...
Oh, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough because they're a lot of the times, not always, well, yeah, if they're really heavy in the matrix and they're on autopilot, they're very disconnected from their soul. So these things will probably come because they haven't really integrated. They haven't done a lot of the work. It's going to feel very jarring. But what I find a lot of these people do, they either okay, I got to deal with this. It's an awakening for them. And others, it's just whatever. I'm going to just numb myself with Netflix, with my phone, with medication, with alcohol, with denial. So I feel like just because these transits happen, it doesn't necessarily awaken everyone. This is what people call my midlife crisis. They add it more to a crisis than an awakening.
Right. So how did you read 2020 to 2025? What was showing up in the charts? And just, we haven't mentioned this, but we met at a Halloween party in October of 2020.
Yeah.
You were brought, and we socialized. We had our own little private events, and you were brought in to read cards, and you read mine then. And I'm like, I don't know who this is, but like, it's like, you don't know me, but like, you knew me from what you had, from what I'd pulled. But I mean, I'd heard what was coming. I knew what was coming. I didn't believe it was actually going to happen.
Yeah.
What were you able to see? And I'm asking you specifically because, we have a very similar worldview.
Yeah.
We saw through a lot of what was happening. So what were you reading and how did you interpret that?
Like the astrology?
Astrology wise, and then how it was kind of came into fruition in our world.
Well, during the time of the pandemic, there was
we
this.
Say that word, can we?
Can we?
Well, we can. I just saw you like hesitate.
Oh, I was going to say another word. I was going to say the pandemonium, Armageddon. So during that time, there was this transit with Jupiter, with Pluto and Saturn, and those are known as plague transits. But they were in the sign of Capricorn. So it's kind of like there was this, and like you have to understand, Pluto exposes power, Saturn's restriction, and Jupiter will amplify that. So right away, I'm like, oh, this thing is being amplified to the 19th degree. And the energy is all in Capricorn. And gone wrong in Saturn and Pluto, there's a lot of corruption there. So I saw it a very different way where I'm like, oh, I think this is, and then it highlighted fear. I think that Jupiter aspect blew up the fear. Okay, but it also amplified control. So that was played out. Then at the time in astrology, especially during like the earlier years of the pandemonium, we had these nodes. There's these nodes of destiny that flip through and they change flavors every 18 and a half months. And these nodes of destiny were on the axis of knowledge. And the axis of knowledge, so the north node was in Gemini. So we all had to lean into, seeing things objectively, looking at the facts, looking at the data, being open-minded, having open conversations and dialogue. The south node, which is where we get stuck in, which we had to move away from, which was at that time in Sagittarius, and gone wrong, it was highlighting righteousness, where people's opinions were deemed as facts. Okay, it was also the south node in Sagittarius, where it was like, oh, this is the expert's belief and whatever, but it's like, but you're not cross-referencing it with the north node, which is the actual data and facts here. This is just your opinion. Now, that got all flipped. Didn't it feel like when people had their facts, you were called crazy? And you're like, I'm literally pulling off this website from the Visor. I'm like, this is not my opinion.
I would posted a vaccine insert from the actual thing with things highlighted. That I didn't add any, and it was like, how can you do this? This is reckless. This is dangerous. I'm like, I didn't write it. It's the medicine.
Yeah. And why that felt like we were going crazy, because we're like, why can't we just have simple conversations? Like, why can't we just discuss all the different options? But it was like everyone's opinion, like everyone's righteousness came out like crazy at that time. So the nodes of destiny are opposite. So they're a mirror opposite. And a lot of us were leaning into the Gemini. Here's the facts. Here's the knowledge. This is not my opinion. This is literally like boop, boop, boop. There was another planet at the time, Neptune. Neptune adds a lot of fog and illusion and confusion. Neptune was hitting the nodes of axis. So it was flipping. And that's why, didn't you see everyone was like, I'm just so confused. I don't know who to believe. And I was like, oh my God, Neptune is ruining everything. So everyone's, I just don't know what's facts and opinions and what's real and what's not real. And what Neptune was teaching all of us during that time, because it was hitting the nodes of destiny. So knowledge just felt all mumble jumble if you didn't have razor sharp discernment. So at the time I kept saying to everyone, stop. I don't care how many letters you have behind your name. Tap into your discernment. But you're not a real doctor. You're not a doctor. And everyone's, and it's like, so you can't use a shred of critical thinking or discernment. And that's what we were all invited to do. And that's why I kept reiterating. I'm like, this transit is about your own discernment, not about someone's opinion deemed as the truth.
All right. So that was, spot on.
And can I add one more thing? Neptune rules the media. So Neptune rules the media. So television, news. So this energy, the axis of knowledge, was heavily gone wrong. Neptune is propaganda on steroids. Heavy propaganda around this knowledge, around what is right and what is wrong.
But how can a planet be like all about a modern construct? Are you saying it's about communication? Is it about, that's what it is? Okay.
Yeah. It's every planet rules specific things. Like Neptune rules the media, Pluto, like Saturn rules government, authority. Like, so every planet has a role. So when they're in a particular sign and they're interacting with different planets, it's kind of, they make up their own orchestra. So like during the pandemonium, it was the orchestra was like, let's confuse everyone.
That's
and then with that Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction, let's highlight everyone's fears.
Right.
And let's use that let's use it to their advantage.
I feel like we're at a shift point now. Is that wishful thinking?
No. When you mean, what's your terminology of a shift point though?
I feel maybe there's a level of sanity being restored, or people are remembering who they are.
Yeah, because we have Pluto now that energy broke apart. Now we have Pluto in Aquarius, and it's going to hang out there for 20 years. And I call it like the revolutionary transit. So it really, and again, Uranus, the planet Uranus, which is all about, it's a revolutionary planet as well. It brings around sudden changes. It breaks us out of like conformity. It's in Gemini. So a lot more people have the courage to say, no, this is my independent thought. It encourages critical thinking. And then Pluto in Aquarius is, we all got to come together in humanity and realize it's not left versus right. It's literally like the demons versus the entire world. So that's why people are feeling the shift, and people are more comfortable to have these conversations that maybe they didn't feel comfortable having a couple years ago, because we also don't have that foggy, high, like sensitive axis of knowledge transit occurring either.
Right. Okay.
There's hope. I say there's hope. It's like the resistance in Star Wars.
Right. Was there ever a point in this where you felt hopeless? Like where you were like, there is no path forward?
I always had hope. Always. Yeah. Like deep down in my heart and soul, I always had hope. But I definitely had moments where I'm like, I'm getting really tired.
Yes.
Like, this needs to speed up. Like I'm really tired. And I can't, I had moments of doubt, but I'm like, I know we're going to hit that awakening point. It's bound to happen. Like it's going to happen. And then it finally did. But, oh yeah, I was like, is this the rest? Like, is this going to be the rest of our lives like this? This is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember specifically thinking, it all started when my child was 2.5 years old. And I knew parenting him the way we were going to, the way we live, which is, outside the normal paradigm, was going to be a challenge. But I hadn't anticipated all the other things that were actually we're like, the path I'd envisioned looks like a cakewalk compared to what we actually have been through in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
When we met in 2021, you had come and done readings for my girlfriends. It was one of my friends' bachelorettes that we had at our house because we couldn't go anywhere, and we had all the people I knew of who were different practitioners. We had reflexology, and you had come and we had talked about how you'd seen the chaos coming, but you didn't know specifically how it was going to play out.
Yeah.
You also did a reading for me, which was so spot on that it's like when you have those like heightened emotional moments in your life. Like I almost remember word for word, which was you said to me, like, it's time for you to move on, but you can't and won't until you let go of everything you have right now. I was
Yeah.
like, well, come on. Like
Yeah, I know.
it was 2021, so I would have been 41. And I did, I knew that guidance was there.
Yeah.
And it was at 43 when I finally did it. I didn't realize how much letting go actually had to be done. But to what you've described and just for everyone listening, it's like it followed perfectly. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like the anxiety's gone." And that hustle or drive or knot in my stomach, whatever you wanna call it, oh, that's gone now. There's an ease that comes, but there's a time, like I wasn't ready.
Oh, 100%. Like you were also in your mid-awakening transits.
Right.
So you were just in the process of, oh, I'm shedding some skin. I'm still the caterpillar in the cocoon. I'm not ready to come out to be the butterfly. But I knew I was like, I'm gonna drop this seed. And when you're like, oh my God, I know, but like I was like, it's okay. Today, basically, like you needed to, I thought in my head, I'm like, you needed to hear that and I know you'll act on it when it's time.
It's interesting because I was at the time I was starting I was about to launch an entirely different program
Mhm.
on awakening. I'd done the photo shoot, I'd done the trailer, I'd done the outline, I had the branding, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't it either." Like, I knew, and at the back of my mind, it was like it all has to be
Yeah.
released and shed. And I think to your point, you looking at the world and getting impatient, I that's the sense I was feeling, was this inner sense of impatience with myself, being like, "Can this just let's just get to the end." But, everything happens in its own due time.
It's hard to be in those liminal spaces. It's really
Yeah.
hard because even though we have our soul might be like, "Okay, I know this is the next step," there's still unlearning to be done. And then there's our nervous system that goes, "Oh my gosh, this is like terrifying," that we have to retrain or offer it tools so it knows it's safe. So trust me, I get it. I'm in one of those versions right now, and I'm sitting here being like, "Oh yeah, I know how it feels," and it's easier said than done. And even if I have this knowledge, we're still human. And I always say we reach our breaking point when we're meant to.
You said earlier that you felt like earlier on you were more bold with how
Yeah.
you communicate what you did, but from when I've seen you and watched you for the last 5 years, like, you still seem pretty unapologetically yourself. You pull off I don't even know what the kids call them, like, your reels. They're hilarious and, like, on the border of being wonderfully offensive. Not to me, but, there's always someone. Has that been a specific strategy, or are you truly just now able to be who you are and do that unapologetically because you're so tuned into being in alignment?
That has that is part of my makeup. Like
Mm.
it's literally part of my makeup. But what's funny is what you see as, oh, there's Renata unapologetic, she's so bold. It's a deep part of wounding still for me.
What do you
And
mean?
so it's a point in my chart that I still face a lot of inner struggle with. I want to just be not unhinged, but unfiltered, say what I want to say. And then I'm like, was that too much? Did I cross the line there? Oh, are they going to take it this way? And I've learned it's part of my wounding, but it's part of my medicine. So
Mhm.
it's not a particular strategy. It's like that's really who I am and who I want to be. I want to be that person that comes and I want to shake people out of their like asleep and pierce them. It's like I want to pierce them, but not in I'm trying to shame you, but I want to like kind of poke at with that tough love. Like I need you to think this way because like right now you're not happy and someone needs to say it.
Yeah. I feel that too, but then I get I'm so sensitive to the negative repercussions that do come. And
Yeah.
even if it's like the one comment out of 100 or one DM out of, it's still like, that's not what I meant. That's not, it's like an injustice on my character because I'm like, that's not who I am. That's not what I intended. Like that. And I still like it. And every time, like, oh, is it worth it? Is it worth it to answer that call?
Yeah, I can relate to that. And I've started to look at that. I'm like, that's coming into my space because I still have something in my space around this. I'm still looking for validation. I'm still looking for recognition. I need everyone to agree with me. If they agree with me and tell me I'm amazing, that means I have the right to speak. And then I start to look at, not everyone's going to agree with you, Renata, and that doesn't mean you don't have the right to share your opinion on that. Also be open to constructive criticism. Like sometimes I'm open when someone's, ooh, that was a little harsh. And I was like, yeah, it kind of was. I was sassy that day and I wasn't regulated. I'm human. That's the way I was. So I can own it, but that's very far and few between. I find most people that come into my DMs are just like, it's like a Dear Diary entry. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I am not your Dear Diary. If you want to have a conversation with me, you cannot come at me and treat me like that. You're no better than what you claim I am.
Yeah.
So I do not tolerate that. When I see stuff like that, it doesn't even bother me, because I'm like, this person is projecting onto me instead of going to touch some grass. That's not my responsibility. I'm not gonna entertain that behavior.
Someone else I talked to has used that phrase about touching grass. And even yesterday, I was talking about AI, and it was that idea of like how we all just need to reconnect with nature on the regular, because that's the only thing that will regulate us at this point, where like we cultivate these not just echo chambers, but they're now these AI virtual not even virtual, these AI generated realities that we believe are real.
I know.
And to reconnect with like literally the sun and the moon and the grass is maybe the only thing that will save us and save our resilience and our humanness.
Yeah, and I feel like people are more dysregulated. So when I see that, or when I see someone lashing out, I'm just like, that's a very emotionally and just nervous system dysregulated human being.
When as a naturopath, which I feel like now is fairly accepted and considered mainstream ish. I mean, you're not a real doctor, of course. That's sarcasm, but um you took that and then threw in the astrology. Do you deal with backlash about that?
Well, they're separate. So they're separate things. So like my naturopathic is just my naturopathic entity, and then astrology, it's its own separate thing. So, but backlash from why I'm doing that, or just in general?
Yes, just from other, whether it's other practitioners or, because if you can keep them separate, but if someone looks you up, you're like doing these ridiculous about astrology.
Yeah. I've never,
Oh, that's the person who's requisitioning this blood work? Like, that's the person you're trusting?
yeah,
Do you
no,
get
I've
that
never
a lot?
actually had anyone say that to my face. I'm sure people are like, I'm not going to her, which is fine. But if anything, people have been like, oh, you're also, an ND, and you're in spiritual stuff. That's what I'm into. So it's just attract more aligned people, if
Right.
anything.
Ultimately, when you're working with people and you're doing the astrology, are you merging them, or do you keep them
They're
like
separate.
they're
Yeah,
separate?
they're separate. Yeah.
Like, it's not you're out of alignment, that your sun is in the whatever, and you need vitamin D. Those don't go
Never.
to.
No.
Got it.
They're their own services.
So how do you help people, given that you understand the physiological body, our basic biology, and the more esoteric? How do you help people distinguish between what's happening in their body, their mind stories, the things we fabricate in our own minds, creating our own reality and limiting beliefs and all of that, and what's in their heart for their soul? Like, how do you?
Yeah. So sure, when I see someone for a reading and they're like, I have no energy, this, and this, I'm also like, it's you also, I'm not giving health advice, but I'm like, yeah, are you eating well? Like, have you checked your labs? Like, that's maybe something you want to explore. Like, that would be the extent of that. But it's usually pretty focused when they come to see me for those things, right? Because there's too many things to get into. And so when someone's coming to see me as like an ND, I have my ND hat on. But I do still like to talk about like, when did this start? How do you feel around that? How's your emotions around that? So I still explore the emotional aspects, how they feel about it, how they've been dealing with it, what tools they have around it. So emotional well-being is very much a cornerstone in the way I practice, and it always has been, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like even just bringing that up, or a safe space to voice things, can be so therapeutic for people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I bring it up, but it takes time to get there, right? You can't just unlock Pandora's box. And I'm really mindful of how, like, I know I come off as sassy and everything, but when I'm really sitting one-on-one with person, I have to gauge, like, what layer can we work on today? Because I don't want to overwhelm this person. I don't want to scare this person. Like, what can they handle? And that's kind of like intuitively I feel out.
Right. So in doing that coaching, but also just in your general brilliant wisdom, what is the most uncomfortable truth about pivoting that people generally don't want to hear? Like when you're reading someone's chart, or you could probably also see in the, you see health in eyes and skin and in a people smell, like you can
Mhm.
whether you're doing a naturopathic consult or not, you can see the physical state of someone. So what is that the most uncomfortable truth about pivoting that people just don't want to hear, don't want to face, don't want to know?
The most uncomfortable truth. Oh my gosh, there's like so many.
As many as you can.
I don't want to, well, I think it's the fact that it feels like you have to let go of a life that you've potentially built, or you have to let go of a certain way of being. It might not be your entire life you're letting go, but there is going to have to be this like letting go thing that
Mm,
maybe gave that you're like, well, this is who I had to be to get to this point. And it gives me this false sense of safety and security, and it's everything that I know. And I'm like, I know, and you got to let all that go, and you'll find your footing again, just like you did here. So it's that reminder that something's got to go, and there has to be. I don't know if the word sacrifices it, but yeah, like you can't keep being the way you want and then everything magical fall into place without doing some type of inner work.
yeah.
There's no way around that. Trust me, if I could find a way around it, I would be sharing it with everyone, but I have not found my own sneaky way of avoiding growing as a human.
Yeah. We almost, it's like we cultivate these, for lack of a better word, like an addiction to our own suffering. It's that uncomfortable comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I always say to my clients sometimes? I'm like, you just got to you're going to get to a point where you're tired of your own suffering. I go,
Mm,
you're just not tired of it. You're not tired enough yet. You're not sick of your own suffering yet. You just haven't reached
yeah.
that breaking point. And they're like, and then they come back, they're like, I'm finally tired of my bullshit. I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But there is that point where you have to be so sick of your own suffering that you're like, okay, I don't care. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll take that risk, that uncomfortable risk that I know that I had to probably take for the past year and a half.
Right. So we're coming up on our hour. I could talk to you forever. And I need to book I've never had a full reading done.
Oh, that'd be
I
fun.
need to book that. Yeah. What do you feel like your heart is calling you towards now or next?
So for me, it's my podcast.
Ah.
Yeah. It's my well, I've already launched it, my Coven 12-month mentorship, but it's the academy, and it's to transition more from like one-on-one work, which I have, eventually probably move away from naturopathic medicine. And I just want to be traveling the world, speaking at retreats, doing my podcast, and just like spreading this astrological consciousness, no bullshit, across the globe.
Mm.
But I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so
What
scared.
part of it is the scare? To me, I'm like, oh, obviously. I have my friend Amber, I don't know if her episode's coming before yours or after yours. And we talked about that too. Like the vision for her is a similar one of, fulfilling on your potential,
Yeah.
like your full potential. So what part is scary for you?
Because I feel like at this point in my career, and I have to remind myself, I'm like, Renata, you built this from nothing. You built
Mhm.
this from nothing. So you've started from scratch before, and look how far you've come from scratch.
So there's just more to
It's
lose.
just more to lose this time. You're like, oh, I have more financial stability to lose. I have all these followers that I built from this identity that I showed up, or this version of Renata. And I started closing off all these offers. So I started saying no to a lot of financial, opportunities and money coming in, because I'm like, I have to pour my focus into building my academy, my coven, these courses that people can purchase on their own, because I can't help the world one-on-one anymore. and I have a bigger vision and I'm outgrowing this vision, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm starting from scratch again. So it feels like 2020 me, because that's kind of when my astrology pivot started. And I'm like, you've done this before, Renata. But it is that it's way scarier because I was barely surviving. So I was like, I have nothing to lose because I got no money in my bank account. So what does it matter? But then when you're like, oh, whoa, I've built this like successful business, it is such a mind screw. And I just want to share that because I don't think enough people talk about it, that you're like, and then I have to realize, I'm like, it's no different than last time. It just, the external looks a little different. It's the same game you're playing.
And also recognizing that staying where you are is not an option.
It's stagnation on steroids. And what usually happens for me when I become super stagnant is my body starts to break down. And my body will just be like, oh yeah, you don't want to listen? No problem. We're going to just cause so much chaos and controversy for you to deal with this.
Right. And we were saying that just before we hit record, even when you trust the lessons and, you know, from the universe, from God, whatever entity you attach to that extra or outside yourself power, it also doesn't make it easier. Like you can trust it, you can know.
Yeah.
And it's still challenging. It can still come at the most inconvenient times in the most inconvenient ways. We'd be like, really? Like it was working. I knew this. It was working. Can I just give me another year? Give me a little more time. I'll get there.
Yeah.
But it you know, I don't believe it's up to us.
No, and I bargain. Don't get me wrong. I also bargain. I'm like telling everyone what to do online. And I'm also like bargaining with God and the universe, being like, come on. Like, honestly, look how many things I pivoted in my life. Can you just not let me hang out here for another 3 years? Damn it. And it's no. So I also procrastinate. I resist. I'm human, even though I know better. And I find that right now, and I'm just starting to voice it now. Like, I'm scared. I'm scared about who this new Renata is. And I've just learned, I'm like, I'm going to outgrow people. It's okay because number one, I have to choose myself, because if I don't choose myself, then what is that? So I'm right there right now as we're going through this podcast, just sweating daily, just sweating, just having like mental health chats, being like, you got this. It's okay. You know, you're on the right track. It feels uncomfortable because you're growing. Yeah. Yeah.
It is. I'm still uncomfortable about it all. Yeah. And I don't think I'll ever be comfortable, because maybe one day it will be. I don't know. I don't know how to be this person yet fully.
Yeah. So I think that's the brave thing, right? Hence the Courageous Pivot podcast is that you grow into it eventually. You just have to keep being brave. You just have to keep being courageous. You just have to know, like, I know this is the right thing, and it's okay to feel uncomfortable. That's what courage is. People all think, oh, until the fear goes away, I'm going to do it. I'm like, oh, no. You got to put I always say, I got to put my big girl courage pants on, and I'm still terrified, but that's what's getting me through.
Mm-hmm. I adore you. I'm so happy that I know you.
Same.
What is the Coven open? Where can people find you? What should they do?
So the Coven is open. It's still like in its like second soft launch phase, because I'm finishing up all the curriculum. So it's still open. People can hang out with me for a year if they really want to explore astrology to understand themselves, or to offer this if they're a practitioner or they want to become an astrologer. It sets you up wonderfully for all of that. So you feel really comfortable understanding astrology and giving readings and understanding your own unique alignment using your own cosmic blueprint.
Beautiful. So where is that?
Oh, that's on my website. It's you can find it on Instagram. Sorry, you're like, that's on Instagram. There's a link, or my website.
What's your website?
Oh
my God, you're impossible.
www. You want me to spell it all out? Renata.
No, is it just like a word? Is it your name?
No, it's my name, Renata Taravski, but they're gonna have to spell that right.
Well, okay, the links are in the Substack.
Okay, that's all we have to say. All right, sorry. Sorry, everyone.
All good. Anything else you'd like to close with? You feel complete? Any last words of sage astrological wisdom for everyone as we approach the end of the first half of this ridiculous decade?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the only thing is I have to say is, for whoever is listening, and if you're in that moment right now where you're like, I've outgrown this thing, but you keep resisting it and you keep looking for another sign, you don't need another sign. You don't need another sign. You already know what you need to do, and you're not going to have evidence yet. All you have to keep doing is just choosing what you know is the next aligned thing for you. You don't have to know the full blown big picture. You just have to make that one first step. And I promise everything's going to unfold if you keep coming back to your alignment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Renata.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friends, as always, for listening through to the end. We have links to all of Renata's offerings. Check out Courageous Pivot. While you're there, hit subscribe. It's very helpful and appreciated. You know what else is? Your reviews, and also sharing this episode with at least 2 friends. Please go and do that. Thank you for being here, for being part of this community, for embarking on this journey of courageous pivoting. It takes heart, it takes soul, it takes massive leaps of faith, and it's nice that we get to do this together as a community. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week. Have a great rest of your day.